Hi and welcome. This is the overview of how to complete the discounts, rebates, free goods, and coupons case. So the idea of this case is many companies who sell products offer many different incentives for their customers to buy the products. So they might offer just a discount off the wholesale price. They might offer a rebate off the wholesale price. They might offer free goods, which is, you might just be familiar with buy one, get one free, BOGO, and coupons, which gives you dollar amounts off of the product. So in some cases, some products may qualify for all of these different discounts. So in this case, we're looking at what would be the effect on the profit margins based on offering these incentives at different levels, different varying levels. So you'll see there's a chart over here. This chart, which is discount incentive schedule 1 or table 1, shows you the four different discounts and then the percentage levels. So these are all the different schedules. So for free goods, 100% would be buy one, get one free. 10% would be buy 10, get one free. So we're putting them in a percentage format rather than in a unit format. And then we have another set of schedules based on the season or the quarter: fall, winter, spring, and summer. So we're looking at setting the varying discounts to these levels for each of these seasons. And then down here we have an alternate concept where instead of giving seasonal discounts, what if we just give one annual cash back to the customers or wholesaler? Okay, so that's sort of the schedules you'll be working with. So the first thing it says here under the memo is customers are receiving lower prices as they take advantage of our discounts, rebates, free goods, and coupons. Please calculate the wholesale price, gross profit margins for each of these incentives. And the incentives are stackable. So what it basically means, we're looking at, what if we just give the discount? What if we include discounts or rebates? What if we do discounts, rebates, and free goods? And what if we give customers all four: discount, rebates, free goods, and coupons? So on the data worksheet, this is this worksheet, use column I and function SUMIFS to code each size order using the annual total sales units. See table 2 for intervals and order size codes. Okay, so there's table 2 down here, and these are the variable sizes of the order from 2, and then the description of their size. So they want us to go to this data tab. I see here already they have the size order in there. So to do this, we would need SUMIFS. So I'm going to go and I'm going to copy this part of the table from here onto the data sheet, just so I have something handy to work with. Okay, so now if you look at the fall, winter, spring, summer sales in units, the annual units are just the sum of these four. Now, so we see here that something larger than between 15 and 20,000 is larger. So I see that there's been a sample inscription here, but I don't want to have to go through and look at each of these numbers manually and put in the description. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this. I'm going to set up a set of if statements. So I'm going to go insert ifs, if sum, let me just see, go SUMIFS. We'll do, no, I don't need SUMIFS, I just need ifs. So we'll use ifs. Okay. So the first logical test, and we can say if it's greater than, let me just call it up again, ifs. Okay, so the logical test is if this number is greater than 2,500. And I can actually, I'm going to leave this here in case I'm going to leave the chart here. So 2,500. If true, then supersize. Logical test 2. If this is greater than 15, then larger. Test 3. If this number is greater than 10, I have to use this little, bring this up. If true, medium. Logical test 4. If this number is greater than 5,000, then small. Next logical test. If this number is greater than 0, very small. Okay, so we're going to put larger. Now, in the formula though, I have to go back. Since I'm using this grid, I'm going to have to lock down everything except for H2. So because I wanted to, so I'm going to put the absolutes on these values so they don't drift when I move the formula lower. So anything that's not H2, I'm going to put these values, this absolutes dollar signs to lock in these amounts so they won't drift. Okay. So now when I copy it down, it'll work. So I can copy all the way to the bottom. So now I have, why do I have a 0 here? So this logical test here, I'm going to, if logical test 5, I'm going to put that to 0. Okay, so I have a problem with the formula because this one is bringing back so it doesn't work for items that are under 5,000. So I made a mistake in this formula. So I'm going to open up the formula and go to the last. The problem is in the smallest one, very small. So I'm saying H2, if it's greater than K2. So I'm going to put in greater than K2. I'm going to put in, if it's greater than, instead of K2, I'm just going to put in a 1 and hit OK. If 2, M2, OK. Put in a 1 and see where it says 0 here. OK, so the basic problem here is I didn't lock down one of the cells. So this last item here, M2, I didn't have locked down. So it wasn't bringing back very small. So once I fix that and I copy it down, you see now we get the very small instead of, let's supersize, we want very small. The very small pops in. Okay. So these all look good now. We'll kind of fit that description. Okay, so that's how you can use you can use ifs to create a logical matrix to put the size of the order in. And I'm just gonna, let me just put that in the center that. Okay. So going back to the memo. So on the data sheet, we did that. For table 2, use the intervals and size codes. Okay, so put the size codes in. Now, on Commission Master spreadsheet, I want to set the data validation for each of the incentives listed in table 1. So these are the data validation. So I'm going to go to the customer master here, and there's also a note here to use data validation. So I'm going to go to data, and then I'm going to go to data validation, which is this button here. And I'm going to switch this to list, and I'm going to find the source, and go back to the memo, and this will be the source. And I'm going to hit OK. So now I have to do that multiple times because each of these has a separate list. So the second one would be rebate. third one is going to be, again, set like list. Free goods. And then the last one is coupon. Coupon is over here. Okay. So now it's already set where it's at the lowest. So the instructions go on to say use the lowest variable, but I could change it here, but this is how. So now it's a pull down list. So you have to use these pull downs to put the valuation in, which is good because it prevents people from using any other type of number. And sometimes with percentages, they might put in 1 rather than 1%. So it's good for preventing people from messing that up. Okay. So so step 1 is done. I set the valuation list for each of the codes. Step 2, use XLOOKUP to bring in the product code and cost from the data sheet. Okay. So I want the cost. So here I'm going to, we'll start with the product code first, and we'll do an XLOOKUP. And the lookup value will be the product number. The lookup array will be on the master data, and that's going to be the product number. And the return array on the data will be the product code. And if not found, I will say none here in case something's not found. I'm going to hit OK. All right, so selected the product. And if I click down, it'll bring in all the products that we're going to be working with. So you can check 1663 is product 1. So 1663 is product 1, 1681 is product 2, 1691 is product 3. So it's working. Okay, so now I'm going to do the costs. So same thing, I'm going to do the XLOOKUP. And you have to use XLOOKUP, not VLOOKUP, because the columns are out of order, so it wouldn't work with the VLOOKUP. But with the XLOOKUP, I can take the lookup value, match it to the lookup array. So the lookup value and the lookup array should be the same data. The return array is what I want to bring into the cell. So I want to bring in the cost, would be column A is hiding over here, cost, not found, no. So this is, if it's not found, it'll say no cost. So I hit OK. And then the costs come in. And now here it wants me to round to the nearest 10 cents. So they have a couple examples in here. So 2706 becomes 2710. So apparently they want everything to be in 10 cents intervals. So I'm going to use a rounding function here. So I'm going to go insert function, round. Look that up. I'm going to do round up because and the instructions say to round up. So I'm going to go round up. And I'm going to select this as the number. And I'm going to put in 1 digit. And it gives me the result here. So you can kind of test it. If I did, what would it look like if I did 2 digits? What would it look like if I did 3 digits? What would it look like if I did 0 digits? So you can kind of see the result here. And that's what I want, 2710. If you notice, these all stay the same. And I can just quickly do that down. Everything is rounded up to the nearest 10 cents. And then I can see the profit margin. There's no formula here, but there's a formula here. So I'm going to copy it up because I don't trust that formula. And it is different. So you can never trust the values in these cells. You should always double check them. Okay. Now use XLOOKUP to bring the code and cost from datasheet. Did that. Round up to 10 cents. Did that. Calculate each of these columns. Set incentives to the minimum. Okay, so I already did that. I set all the incentives to the minimum, and the minimums are here on this scale. The first one is all the minimums. Okay, now it says calculate each of these columns. So these are the columns they want me to calculate. So if I go to the commission master, the columns are already here. And so I need to calculate all these columns. Okay. So wholesale with discount. So this is, we have the wholesale here. And the wholesale is going to be 50% of the retail, and that's just common. And I'm just going to double click this down just in case it's not fully reached the bottom. And we're going to do the wholesale discount, wholesale with discount. Okay, so here's the discount is 1%. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say plus the wholesale number times 1 minus the discount rate. Now, for order this to stay, I have to put in, I'm going to put in absolutes to lock that in. Then the profit margin, I'm going to calculate as the wholesale. It's always going to be the wholesale minus the cost. But I have to put this in parentheses. And then I'm going to divide by the wholesale. So this becomes 55%. I'm going to move that out 1 decimal place. Okay. Now discount, wholesale plus discount rebate. So I'm going to say, I can do it 2 ways. I can take the discount and I can multiply it by 1 minus the new rebate, and I get 1328. Or I could say take the wholesale value times 1 minus discount plus rebate. I get the same amount. Now, I do need to lock down these two. Okay, and then calculate. So here I calculated this using, we want to use column H minus C divided by F. So we're going to do the same thing, except the only thing that, so H, column H should be changed to J. So we're going to do J minus the cost divided by J. But I have to put my parentheses in for it to work. And this should be lower than this margin. And it's higher. So J minus cost divided by J. So if this formula is correct, this is the formula that's wrong, because I need to divide by H, not F here. So this should be H. Okay, now that makes sense. Okay, so now we're going to do, I could lock in F here. I don't want to lock it in because I want that to drift. So I do want to lock in, I want to just lock in column F, not 7. So I'm just going to put a $ in front of, so I can copy this formula over here, and then I can add in another incentive plus the free goods, and I want to make that an absolute. Okay, and then So this formula, I can't copy that formula over because it's drifting. Profit margin, we don't want to drift column C. So C should stay, so we want to put a $sign in front of C. So that way I could copy this. All right. And we see, and that looks right. And now we're going to do the last column here. The free goods, so this is going to be everything. So I'm going to copy this formula, this here, and I'm going to add to it the last discount. Put that absolute terms. So we have that now. I'm going to do the new profit margin. Copy this over, and that makes sense. Okay, so here are at just with discount rebate, free goods, discount rebate, free goods, and coupon. So we can discount the wholesale, which is starting at $13.55, goes all the way down to $11.79 after you apply all of these incentives. So let's calculate the total sales units. This we can't calculate. We have to do an XLOOKUP. We want to bring this in, total sales units. But these, since this is the master, we won't calculate these in the master. I'll start this on the next cell. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these, copy these all down. Don't worry if you get these little warning flags. Okay. So now that I have the template here, I'm going to copy this template, and we're going to put this in for fall. So let me copy this, and for fall, I'm just going to, there's some information there already, but I'm just going to write right over that. And first thing I'm going to do for fall is I'm going to go and I'm going to set the new discounts for fall. So if I go back to the memo, use conditional formatting. Okay, that's later. So let me set, here is the schedule for fall, this incentive thing here. So 5/2/26. 5/2/26. Okay, so you see how these numbers are changing here. So now I can go ahead and calculate the total units. Okay, so now we have everything is brought over correctly because I used those absolutes. So it's going to calculate using my new discounts, and we see that discounts are a little bit more heavy here. Now we could do the total sales in units. I'm going to have to bring that over from the data tab. So we go back to the memo, and it says, use the commission matcher to create a template for worksheets, fall, winter, spring, summer sheets. Set discounts to match the seasonal incentive schedule for each worksheet. Use XLOOKUP to bring in the sales and the data. Okay, but I think I jumped ahead. There's another thing here I just skipped over. Use conditional formatting for all the profit margin percent columns. Okay, greater than 80% highlight in green. Okay, so they want me to do some conditional formatting. So let me go to the commission master and just put this reminder up here of what the formatting is. So for profit margins, so here it's saying for all the profit margin columns. Okay, so here's a profit margin column. I'm going to go in and I'm going to set up a conditional formatting, and I'm going to do let's see. Greater, less than, greater than. Okay, so I can do a greater than 0.80 or 80%. We're going to do, if it's greater than 80%, we're going to use green. I'm going to say okay. And now I can add another, if it's less than 60 or greater than 50. Less than 60, greater than 50, yellow highlighting. Okay, so I'm going to do between, I'm going to say 60% and 50%. We're going to put this in yellow. And then the last one, if it's less than 50%, red highlighting. So put 50% here, and we do red. Okay. So nothing's red here, but I'm going to, let me fix this. Put those filling. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the formatting from this column. I'm going to double click this until I get there's a way, if I click it once, I can only use the formatting once. But there's a way, if I click it twice, I get this little dust broom next to the plus. See a little paintbrush, I guess? And now I could do this on multiple columns. So I could put this formatting. Oh, let me undo. I hit. I want this profit margin and this profit margin. Okay, hit escape to get rid of that. Okay, so so now all the profit margins are calculated here. And I'm going to delete this. Now there's also this, for the rest of the, I'm not going to bring in the units just yet. So I'm going to copy this over to the, going to hit this box to copy the whole page and bring that over to the fall data. Okay. I'm going to reset this to match the memo for fall, which is 5/2/26. Okay, so then you see these highlights change as I set those up there. And now for fall, I can bring in the units. So I'm going to use XLOOKUP. I'm going to say the lookup value is going to be, the lookup value will do A. Lookup array in the data sheet will be A. Nope. It will be C. The return array on the data sheet will be fall units. I'll put here, if it's not found, none. Okay, so now I have that 500 units. I'm going to copy this down so it brings the units in. So now I'm able to do total sales dollars using column N. So it would be units times wholesale price from column N. Total cost would be units times the cost per unit. And then profits would be sales minus costs, and the profit margin would be profits divided by sales. And then total dollar amount of discount. So it's saying here F minus N times P. So let's see, column F, which is the wholesale price, minus N, which is the most discounted price, and we're going to multiply that by P. But I have to put parentheses in here. Okay, so this is the total dollar amount. Let's put that in dollars. So here, since I don't need to change, I'm going to bring that down. I'm going to just copy this format over. And now I can copy all four of these down. Okay, so now I have the profit margin and the total amount of discounts. So what I'm going to do, now that I have this set, I can easily just copy this, put it into winter, put it into spring, and put it into summer. And then I just have to go back in and change the discount rates. But before we do that, I think I forgot something here. Yeah. So one thing that they want me to do is to bring in the units, the largest order of units and the smallest order. So I'm going to do equal max. And I'm going to use this column for the max value of largest order. And then I'm going to do min. And again, use this column for the minimum value. And then the product number associated with it, I can do an XLOOKUP on that. I can do a match. I can do an index and match. But I think I'm just going to do an XLOOKUP to say, let me do an XLOOKUP. And I'm going to say, the argument is I want to match this units. This would be the value. The array would be on the unit. And then the return value would be the product number. So this is the product number. Okay, so now I have the product number, and I filled that out. So now if I go, now this is completely filled out. And maybe I want to put a couple more final touches in. Maybe I want to freeze. Before I copy this over, I might want to freeze the panes. And I may want to actually insert the total row. So the first thing that gets totaled would be this information. Do a sum. And okay. And I can bring this over here, but I want to keep this formatting, so I'm going to take the formatting here, paint that up here. Maybe I'll just center this. So I have the totals now. And then here I want to do the, I can actually just copy this formula here. Now the total amount of discounts, this again would be a total. And then I could just put it in this totaling format so I know that it's a total line here. So these are the totals for the fall. Okay. And maybe I'll highlight these rows here and I'll just say clear formats, and I'll just put a dark gray in there. So that way it just looks, because we don't need to total these rows, and then we can just make that smaller. Okay, so now I'm just done with the formatting here. Okay, so I'm going to copy this. Now that I set this up like this, I can bring this over to winter, spring, summer. This is summer. Okay, so all 4 of them now have that. And you'll see if we go to totals here, we have fall, we got 19 million in sales. Winter, we have the same amount because I have to go and actually adjust the discounts. So for winter, 7,538, 7,530 and 8. For spring is going to be 3,210.5. So 3,210 and 5. And then summer, 7,640.11. 7,640.11. 7,640 and 11. Okay, so now you'll see that these numbers we did in summer, we'll do 10 million in sales. Spring, we'll do 23 million. Winter, we'll do 14. And fall, we'll do 19 in sales. Okay. Back to the memo. Okay, so commission master, let's see, for each we did that. Okay, find the maximum minimum size orders for units for each season. Okay, we did that. On the annual worksheet, we're thinking of only giving a discount based on the annual order size. Please finish that spreadsheet. Okay. And down here it says for all worksheets, fall, winter, spring, summer, annual, make sure you detail a total row at the top of the data. Find, okay, that I already did. So if you see in each of these rows, I already put in that, so when I copied it over, it would come over more easily. So annual, so they're saying instead of having all those discounts, coupon, rebate, just do an end of the year discount based on the size of the order. So this information here, I could just bring over from summer. So these columns, if I look, column A through F is the same, actually through G. So I'm just gonna highlight this area, and I'm going to copy and bring that into the annual. Actually, maybe I will start at the first. Go back up. Let me start at where the data starts. Go to the bottom, copy just the data, and I can put that right here in the annual. It brings over the X lookup and brings over everything I need. Okay, so total annual sales. I'll just do a quick X lookup on that. And again, the lookup value, lookup array, data, annual sales are here. Actually, no, the lookup value here is going to be the same. I want product. Okay, and then the return array is going to be the annual units. And let's say if there's nothing there, nope. All right. And I want to format this as a number, no zeros. Okay, order size description from table 2. Okay, so this was, if I look over here in the data, I already did this. So I can use an XLOOKUP. I could either, I can't copy the formula because it's locked into this grid here, but what I can do is I could do another XLOOKUP. And I'm going to say for the product, I'm going to match that up. And the return array will be the order size. Nope. If it has done, and it's going to bring in the order size, which looks accurate. Now I'm going to do the size discount. So here are the discounts here for the size. But I have to use a ifs to do this. So I'm going to say, if this equals very small, then 5%. If this equals small, then 7%. If this equals medium, then 10%. If this equals large, then 12%. If this equals super large, then 15%. Now, the key thing here is I have to lock down all of the cells except for I8. I do want to drift, but none of the other cells do I want to drift. So I'm going to have to put F using absolutes, which is the $ before the letter and before the number. I have to lock down all the other cells in the chart. And this is just one way of doing it. I guess I could have also have put in the actual term. I prefer to use the cell identification. So this is medium at 10%. If I copy this down, it works. Very small, very small. Okay. So this appears to be working. Now the cash discount is going to be the wholesale times the discount amount. So this is the cash discount. Total sales less a cash discount. Okay, so this would be this minus the discount times the units. So we have to put these in parentheses. Actually, no, we just have to change this to currency. So this basically gives us the total sales without less the discount. So we can put in the total cost, which would be units times the cost. We could do total profits, which is going to be the sales minus the costs. And the profit percentage will be the profits divided by your sales. Okay, so this should be, we want this to be currency and this to be percent. We don't need any change. And then I could just copy these down. And then insert here, and I want to total these columns with a sum. No change. so overall, we get a 71% profit margin. Okay. So we get a 71% profit margin on $128 million worth of sales. So this way, this is a much higher profit margin than the other. If we look at the other months, their profit margins are coming in much lower. So you can kind of, that's one way to compare. So the advantage, I guess, of this schedule would be, that the discounts overall are much lower, just offering this annualized cash back. And then for this, we have again, let me see if I can, this won't work unless it's not in the same cells. So again, we want to do the max of the sales value, and here we want to do the min of the sales value. And then we want to do the product. So here we can do an easy XLOOKUP and basically say this value, lookup array is here, and the return array would be here. Okay, so that's the way we can just format that box again. Okay, so we got our biggest order, our largest order, and the smallest order. And we did it for annuals. Let's go back to the memo. So make sure you put the totals at the top of the row and cross profit margin, seasonal discount, which is better. Okay, so then you would want to compare at the end when you create your executive summary and dashboard, you'd want to look at the difference between the discounting schedule for fall, winter, spring, and summer, and then you could add up all four of these and then combine into the annual using this different discount schedule just based on the order size for the annual. Okay, so that's how you would complete this case and analyze the on the executive summary. It takes a little bit longer. You're gonna have to bring these numbers together, create a dashboard, analyze the different discounting schemes and the pros and cons. So obviously in the summer we did our most heavily discounted, and we wound up having much lower sales after discounts and much lower profit margin, and even some products with a negative profit margin. So this probably would be a good case not to use this summer scheme. This discounting is too aggressive. Just different ways to look at it. Okay. That's it for this. I hope you found this useful in solving this case. Talk to you soon.